Let's also look at emptiness in our daily lives. Let's take a baby as an example. When a baby is born, in the first year of its life, we will still call it a baby. But in the 10th year, this baby grows into a girl. And then you add 10 more years. In the 20th year, this girl turns into a lady. And in the 30th year, this lady turns into a woman. But in the 60th year, this woman turns into an old woman. So although the person itself is still the same person, but because of the change of time, change of conditions, we start to see the person differently. The same goes to up, down, left, right, or high, low, as well as beautiful, ugly, or old and young. All of these are just relative terms, and they tell us quite directly that nothing stays the same, and that nothing has a nature in and of itself, separate from other things. In this sense, all words are ultimately false. The Diamond Sutra says, true form has no form. And it also says, there is no absolute phenomena among phenomena. All form and all phenomena are empty. When we understand this, we will understand the phenomenal world for what it is. And when we understand emptiness, we will be able to rise above all duality to attain a level of awareness that transcends delusion. Just like what the Flower Garland Sutra says, when wind moves through emptiness, nothing really moves. And that moon in the water moves with the wind. After giving you the examples, let us now look at the meaning of emptiness. According to the Mahayana commentary, there are 10 meanings of emptiness. Even though no one will ever be able to perfectly describe emptiness in any language, these 10 meanings of emptiness can point our minds in the right direction and bring us quite close to understanding what Buddhists mean by emptiness. Let us then look at the 10 meanings of emptiness. First, emptiness obstructs nothing. Emptiness permeates everything everywhere, but it obstructs nothing anywhere. Secondly, emptiness permeates everything. It can be found in everything. Thirdly, emptiness is equal everywhere. It has no preference for one place or thing over another place or thing. Fourthly, emptiness is immense. It is without beginning or end or any limitations. Fifthly, emptiness is formless. It has no face or form anywhere. 6. Emptiness is pure. It has no defilements or flaws anywhere. 7. Emptiness is immobile. It is changeless and exists apart from life and death. 8. Emptiness is an absolute negation. The absolute negation of all formed and limited things. Ultimately, all things would dissolve into emptiness. 9. Emptiness is empty. It negates its own nature and destroys all attachments to it. Finally, emptiness is ungraspable. It cannot be held or controlled by anything. Therefore, we have the 10 meanings of emptiness. Most people think Buddhism is a negative religion because Buddhism speaks so much about emptiness. Emptiness describes the world we live in. the entire universe is empty. To say this is not to say something negative. It is simply to say the truth. But one thing we need to note here is the fact that emptiness does not equal to nihilism. Emptiness is not a rejection of life, because all of life depends on the creative potential of emptiness. If things were unchanging, nothing could come into being. If there were no emptiness, human beings would not exist. There must be emptiness before there can be being. Without emptiness, there would be no life and death. There would be no form, there would be no formlessness, there would be no birth, and there would be no death, no change. Emptiness is a creative word, a positive word. Because our stomach is empty, we can take food in. Because our rooms have emptiness, we can fit in these rooms with the rest of the things around us. Because the mind has emptiness, it can actually take in the truth. A glass has to be empty before it can hold water. And scientists were able to accept emptiness so that they could find within atoms neutrons, electrons, and even smaller particles within this. They wouldn't have been able to do so if they'd make an assumption that an atom is simply an atom and nothing else. There's a very famous story in Chan Buddhism. They had said that when we sun-dry the Buddhist sutras, if the wind blows across the sutra and then blows onto a human being, and then this human being will be free from disasters or misfortunes, and this wind will allow wisdom to grow within this individual. That's why a lot of devoted lay Buddhists continue to visit the temple, especially at times when the sutras were being dried under the sun. So one day, it was a very, very sunny day. Therefore, the monks of Hiezan Monastery started to take out the sutras and place them under the sun. And while everybody else was working busily, Chan Master Ikkyu simply laid on the grass topless. And this made the working monks very unhappy. So one of them stepped forward and yelled at him, "Hey, come and help out. Don't just lay around like such a lazy person." But Ikkyu replied, "I'm not just laying around, I'm also sun-drying the Buddhist sutras. The type of sutras that you're drying are dead. They will be eaten up by worms and they cannot move. But the type of sutra which I'm drying under the sun is alive. It is something that will speak the Dharma. It is something that will carry out his duties. And it is something that can eat." To Chan Master Ikkyu, the Buddhist canons are not just endless or countless volumes of Buddhist sutras hidden in a building. In fact, the real Buddhist canon to him is something that embodies the supreme prajna wisdom. Therefore, without the existence of this self, then the sutras will not exist either. Therefore, the self is the object, while the object is self. This is what the Buddhist sutras are like or become in the eyes of an enlightened person. Therefore, once we fully understand emptiness, we will be able to let go of our grasping attachment to the delusive phenomenal world and gaze upon the fullness of life with new eyes. So to sum up what we have said today, we need to understand that emptiness is not nothingness. So why did Buddhism talk about emptiness? Let's use the table as an example now. If I was to ask you, what is it? You may tell me, it's a table. But this is only a delusive phenomenon. Why? Because a table is made up of timber. When a timber is made into this shape, it becomes a table. But if we give it 4 legs and another piece that lies behind it, and it suddenly becomes a chair. Therefore, we cannot simply say that timber is table, because it can become anything else. And now if I was to ask you once again, what is this? If you tell me now it's timber, then it is still not entirely correct. Why? Because this piece of timber came from a tree that grew in the woods. And if you were to say now that this table is a tree, then what about the seed that gave rise to this tree? So in other words, when we look at this, we will say that it is a combination of different causes and conditions in the universe. Because of these causes and conditions, we have a table. So based on this theory, we can see the existence of emptiness within all things, and the fact that only emptiness can give rise to existence. So I hope what we have talked about today has given you a better understanding of emptiness, and may it help you look at things with an enlightened eye in your everyday life. So let us stop here today. We'll see you next time.